Today's episode of the Outline Podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a 30-day free trial and one free audiobook by going to www.audibletrial.com/outlinepod. Once again, that's www.audibletrial.com/outlinepod. Today's show is also brought to you by Vinyl Me Please. It's a record of the month club, and all I have to say is they have Beyonce Lemonade. If that doesn't make you join, I don't know what will. You can join by going to www.joinvmp.com/outlinepod. Once again, that's www.joinvmp.com/outlinepod. Let's start the show.
Outline. With Kevin Dwayne. Outline. With Kevin Dwayne. This is the outline with Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne. With Kevin Dwayne.
Yo, what's up? It's the Outline with Kevin Dwayne. Thank you so much for joining me for another show. Please remember to subscribe at SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. You can also find everything at kevindwayne.com. Make sure you're rating and commenting, and most importantly, share it with your friends and family. As I know you've been doing, there have been so many people who have reached out to me saying that they found out about my show through other friends. And I appreciate that you guys love the show enough and you are listening to me and saying, okay, I am going to share this because I'm enjoying it. So thank you so much for all that you do. You've been riding out with me. Also, I apologize for not having a show last week. It has been a very hectic month, and I knew this month was coming. I don't know why. I should have just called it a vacation month for the podcast. That way it would have been more expected, because it seems like every September is very busy. If you listen to my podcast last year, September, I was kind of going through the same thing, and I don't know what it is about this quarter of the year. Things just amp up, but right now I'm being pulled in every venue, which is both good and bad, to say the least. So my 9 to 5 as a project manager is just really, really busy right now. I've been, corporate. So many things have been added to my plate right now, and it's a lot. It is a lot every day. Like, I want to cuss everybody out all day, every day, because you know how that works. Like, they add a bunch of work to you, but you don't get any increase in pay. So you're just doing all this extra work just to keep your job. And it's just, that part is frustrating, and it is what it is. So that part is busy. But then on top of that, my photography, this is a huge month for my business in that, because I had 2 major events this month. Last week, which is most of the reason why I wasn't able to do a show, was I did this huge event for Kimberly Clark. And if you're not familiar with Kimberly Clark, you should be familiar with Kimberly Clark. They make all paper goods. I mean, Kleenex, toilet paper, paper towels, the shit that goes inside of diapers, all that stuff. That's what Kimberly Clark does that. Earlier this year, they accepted a business proposal of mine to do their photography and videography for their Compass Awards, which is an award show they have to promote diversity. So they have been putting me to work. So not only did I do the photography and videography at the event last week, I also did the videos that they played during the ceremony. So it was a very big deal, and I wanted to focus on that. And that was, it went well. It went very well. I'm still finishing up some things for them, the final photos and videos from the actual event. But for the most part, the worst part is over. And it went very, very well. It was lots of hard work. I spent so much time just going to the offices, setting up and interviewing the nominees and former winners, and then bringing that footage home and editing it. Like, I did 2 videos for the show, and it took a total, because I audited it, it took 24 hours total. That was footage and editing. And editing the rough drafts as well and putting the final edits in. It took 24 hours to do all of that. Like if I just spent 24 hours out of a week, it would take that long, and that's a long time to edit anything. To all my creatives out there who do video and who do photo stuff, it's just, you guys know how exhausting it is and what it's like to render and change things. But it came out well, and the videos looked great at the award show. And after, I had some people come up to me and say that they loved the work, and also they feel like I really upgraded that award show. And that meant a lot to me, because apparently the photographer before wasn't as good, and that's as nice as I'm gonna be. I did see the work. It wasn't that good, but whatever. So it was nice to know that I accomplished what they wanted me to accomplish, and it's a huge step up for me. I mean, when you work for a company like that, like, it's only up from there, right? Like, come on now, that's a Fortune 500 company. Like, get the fuck out of here. So super excited about that. So doing that, but I also have another event this weekend, which I did last year. I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I'm doing that. It's called Sweet Fest. And Sweet Fest is a 4-day convention held here in Atlanta for sweet makers, bakers and people who want to have baking businesses and food operations. So I'm doing the photography and videography for that. But I'm also teaching a masterclass on food photography. And don't tell nobody, I haven't even written out my lesson plan yet. But, it is what it is. I already know what I'm going to talk about. Like, it comes naturally because it's what I do. But I do need to get that shit on paper so I can at least have a guideline. But it should be fun. I'm going to be teaching that. I'm also going to be having a photo contest at the end of the class where the people get to use the things that I teach them with some cupcakes and garnishings and stuff. And they get to take their own pictures using their phones. Because the whole goal is to teach people how to take pictures with their phones. Because people don't realize how great the cameras are on our devices. Like, these are computers we're walking around with, and it's a great camera on there. And if you use it correctly and follow the basics of photography, figuring out lighting and placement, you can really accomplish some really beautiful photos on your phone. So at the end, there's going to be a contest and a giveaway. So it should be fun. But that's this upcoming weekend. So to say the least, I have so much on my plate right now. I have 2 plates and they're both full. And I'm grateful to be employed. I'm grateful to have huge gigs like these that really can put me on a higher playing field when it comes to being able to choose my rates and stuff like that. But it's a very busy time, and I cannot wait for October. And yeah, I'm ready to kind of wind down for the rest of the year. I have some fun things coming up after this month. Like in September, I'm seeing SZA. I'm so excited about seeing SZA. Oh my God. And then also in December, there's Barcelona, which is December 1st through I think like the 8th. And then after that, I'm seeing Janet Jackson December 17th. I'm going to try to see Xscape December 31st. Like, this year is far from over. There's tons of highlights. I feel like 2017 has been a great year, and it's not over yet, but definitely going out with a bang. So there's more to come with that. But all that to say is, I'm sorry I missed last week's show, but things were just really, really heavy. But I did decide that I was going to pop in today for a second and just talk to you a little bit, because I know, I'm a part of you all's week, and you guys are all part of my week. It feels really weird to not even do a show. It feels so weird. Like, I feel like I'm missing out on something. So I'm glad I took this moment out just to be with you all. So that's that. As far as everything else, my intermittent fasting is still going well. I'm still doing plant-based eating, and everything is really great. I'm really loving my body right now. Like, I've lost quite a bit of weight, and it's been fat. It's literally been fat that I've lost. And so I love my body composition. Between that and the yoga, things have been going very, very well. And I'm kind of hitting that place where everybody's noticing. My last weigh-in, I was 171 because I weigh myself every Thursday. once a week, because any more than that would be insane for me. So I weigh myself once a week just to kind of stay on track and make sure that I'm still progressing and not gaining weight, because it's nothing for me to gain weight. Although with intermittent fasting and the way I'm eating, it's a little harder, and it's a lot harder. And so I appreciate this lifestyle completely. But yeah, I'm down to 171, and I've not been this weight since 2009. Like, it feels so good to be at this weight. And just for perspective, the heaviest I've ever been was 212, and that was in 2015. I was 212. I lost 30 pounds in 2015 to 16. But then I gained, like, I want to say 15 back. And so I got up to like 195. So this recent go round, I got down from 195 to 171. Like, I'm feeling so invincible right now. Well, not invincible, but I'm feeling like I can do anything. And one thing about setting one goal and hitting it, it makes you feel like you can hit multiple goals in other areas. So me getting my weight down below my goal, which was 175, means a lot. And now I'm kind of like, okay, where do I stop? But it's just a good time. So intermittent fasting is going well. Plant-based eating is going well. My only gripe with plant-based eating is the projection that I'm getting from outside sources. Like, I know I talk about this often on my Facebook page and even on this podcast, because it really bothers me. I don't understand, like, why. Okay, I do understand part of it. All right, so with a lot of vegans and plant-based eaters, there are some people who are self-righteous. You know, there's some people who go out of their way to criticize what other people are eating. You know, they do the shit like, why are you eating that? You know, animals do this, you know, this, and it has this and it has that. I literally make sure I don't do that. Like, I don't criticize what anyone eats. I never involuntarily give advice. I don't do anything. So it bothers me when people go out of their way to project their bullshit on me because of the way I eat. So I've noticed, like, when people can post food, people post food pics all day. People post food all day, every day. But if I post a meal and put plant-based or vegan, the projections start. It becomes this whole "we get it, you're vegan" thing. And it's just like, that's so fucked up to me. I'm not doing anything different than anyone else. I'm not putting it in your face. I can post what I want on my social media, right? So why are you projecting on me because it makes you feel some type of way? You know, and I'm thinking about kind of avoiding, like, the holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that, because people get offended when you don't eat what they eat. And that's crazy to me. I'm not criticizing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying I'm not eating this. And furthermore, you can't really ask questions either. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I've had a couple situations where I've asked about the ingredients of meals and I've had people spaz out on me. And that's not cool. It's not cool at all. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes the situation uncomfortable. So I just rather not even deal. Like, I'd rather just eat at home and just control what I do. But ultimately, not everybody's going out of their way to make people feel uncomfortable about what they eat. It is what it is. But I have a right to eat what I eat. You know what I mean? So that's been the only downfall about this, is like dealing with other people projecting their bullshit on me about what I am consuming. And that's it. Like, that's really it. Otherwise, I look good. I feel good. I'm excited. And I'm going to continue this. This is a long-term thing. This is a commitment. It's not. People keep asking me, well, how long are you going to do the intermittent fasting? And how long are you going to do the plant-based eating? I mean, honestly, it's indefinite. Like, intermittent fasting is super easy. I literally just eat 8 hours of the day. It's not a hard concept, and it's easy to maintain. It's been so long now that I'm doing it naturally. And then the plant-based eating, I have no desire to even go back. Like, and my body's starting to adapt. I had something with cheese in it, like, a few weeks ago, and it fucked me up because my body is not used to it anymore. You know what I mean? It fucked me up. Like, I was just like, oh my God, like, instant difference. And then I think something else, I had a drink and come to find out it had milk protein in it. Not milk, not the cream, but it had milk protein in it. And my face started breaking out. So when you have consequences like that, it makes you say to yourself, like, okay, look, I can't have this stuff anymore. And this is why I ask questions about what's in food. It's not to offend. It's not to piss people off. It's not to do that. It's so I can protect myself because it's what I'm eating. And it just gets frustrating because what I'm doing should not be taken personally by anyone. So, that's that. But loving it. If you do want any advice or whatever, if you are thinking about going plant-based, let me know. I have no problem sharing kind of like some of the things I eat. I'm not about to give you full-on recipes. Come on now. I'm not doing that. But I can let you know some of the things I've been doing. And it's dope, man. Like, I feel so good. I feel so good. And shopping for new clothes and all that stuff. Like, it's dope. So in spite of my busyness and the stress levels that I've had, on the flip side, I look and feel good. So it's kind of like, hey, balance. Hey, stressed out selfie. What? But that's that. So what else have I missed in the 2 weeks that I've been gone? Insecure finale. I know I'm late, but I have to say just this alone. That was my favorite episode of the show thus far. That's all I want to say, because it finally showed growth between everyone, really, but Issa and Lawrence. That conversation in the kitchen was absolutely amazing. I can watch that scene over and over and over again because that's literally how it is. Like, in relationships that end badly, you have your moment where you spaz out and you insult and you're just plain old rude and mean. But then you get to a place where you're like, okay, let's talk like adults and let's really express how we're feeling. That was an amazing scene. It was, that was just that whole episode, the perspectives, the way it was filmed, the music, bravo, great episode. That's all I'm going to say. I won't spend too much time on that because I'm late, but loved it so much. Over the weekend, well, actually, not over the weekend, 2 days ago, actually, VH1 had their hip hop honors this year. And it was lit. Like, Missy opened up with She's a Bitch. She recreated that wonderful Hype Williams video. Escape was there. You had Tiana Taylor killing it again with the choreography, and she had a cast on. It was a great show. Mariah Carey was being Mariah Carey. And here's the thing. Okay, so I get it. When legends, because Mariah Carey is a legend. She's a fucking legend. Let's get out of here. What I hate is this. When legends fall off and don't perform to what we're used to in their heyday, I feel like a lot of people get mad disrespectful. And I think that's fucked up because these people have paid their dues. Like, these people have beat so many records and provided us with so many great albums and content and concerts and given their complete lives to us. So as soon as they can't perform to the ability that we want them to, we throw them out. And I just think that's fucked up. Like, I think we need to just kind of honor the fact that people get older. They get older and they can't perform like they used to. And sometimes they just don't want to. But that's no need to be disrespectful to them and talk shit about them. So yeah, Mariah Carey's performance was less than stellar, as they have been for like the last few years. But at the same time, respect her. Respect her. She's still Mariah fucking Carey. Period. And that goes for everyone else. Lil' Kim and Escape. All these people who we feel aren't what they should be. But listen, they have legacies, and respect those legacies. To stop, like, a lot of y'all can't even do what they're doing now. That's what kills me. What kills me about critics of entertainment, they can't even perform. They can't even walk across their rooms without getting exhausted. But they want someone else to give them the best show ever. And I'm just like, listen, it's not always going to be that way. People fall off, and it is what it is. So, but the show was great. It was lots of nostalgia, and I don't know, it was a nice little revisit. On the flip side, there were some people who were upset, who, this happens all the time. Lily, let me actually pull up the screen so I'm actually saying exactly what she said. Lily Lyons of SWV, who isn't verified on Twitter, and I found that to be kind of weird, but whatever. She said, so VH1 is doing a show on Game Changers of the 90s, but not invite most of the artists that changed the game. Where they do that at? She continues in another tweet, I'm so sick of the dick riding, popularity contest that plagues this new industry. Hashtag SWV, hashtag Payola didn't get us here, hashtag music did, hashtag numbers don't lie. And then, yeah, those are the two things that I'm gonna stick to. Now, here's the thing. SWV, also legendary girl group of the 90s. But at the same time, I feel like we've honored SWV. We've honored a lot of these people before. And I need a lot of these motherfuckers to understand that sometimes you're just not going to be invited to shit. Sometimes you're not going to be brought up in the conversation. You're not going to be brought up every single damn time. SWV has had an unsung. They've had specials. They've had shows. They've had so many dedications to them on BET everywhere. So we recognize who you are. We recognize TLC. We recognize all these people of the 90s. We recognize Jodeci. We recognize all these people. But sometimes you are going to be left out. It doesn't mean people love you any less and don't respect what you did. But shit, girl. Like, I just don't get the feeling like you're always going to be brought up in every mention of the 90s. Yes, SWV was lit in the 90s. Like, they were one of the biggest girl groups next to TLC. When you bring up the 90s, you bring up Mary, TLC, Jodeci, En Vogue, Boyz II Men. The list goes on and on and on. Brandy, Monica, Aaliyah. You bring up people of the 90s. And some of those people weren't brought up either. It's like, just because you're not brought up in this one occasion doesn't mean people have forgotten about you or they're disrespecting you. It's just there's a lot of things that go into putting these shows together. And a lot of it is just making sure that you can have the right performers to perform it. Do you have the time? Do you have the rights to perform the music? Like, there's so many things that go on behind the scenes. It doesn't mean that their VH1 is disrespecting you. You just weren't pulled this time. Like, girl, like, don't do that shit. Like, stop. Just stop. But, you know, I can't control how people feel. But I thought that was just kind of like, girl, everyone respects SWV. SWV, like, we know who you are, Lily. We know who you are. Like, we respect you. Calm the fuck down. Like, you're not always going to be mentioned. You're just not. But that's my opinion. You guys may feel differently and let me know. Well, don't let me know. I don't really care. But you may feel differently. And that's that. So over the weekend, there was also the Emmys. I did not watch the Emmys. I don't ever watch them. I don't ever care. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, like, I'm more of an NAACP, Image Awards kind of guy. Like, I support the Black Awards. I'm all about recognition of our people. But I just think it's backwards that we always look to these predominantly white shows to honor us, but we disrespect the shows that we create for ourselves. Like, and that kind of goes into anti-blackness, if you ask me. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But shout out to all the winners who were black, all the people who Issa Rae were rooting for. I was rooting for the black people as well, and you can stay mad. But shout out to all of them. I think ultimately, I mean, especially Donald Glover and Lena Waithe, like, those were great first. Donald Glover got first black director of a comedy series, and then Lena Waithe, along with Aziz, got person of color, female actually, and like, how many years? I don't even remember how many years, or is it ever? It may be ever. I think, yeah, it's the first female ever to win a writing award for a comedy series. Like, that's crazy as fuck. And I want to know, why in 2017 are we still having first? That's the problem. This is why I don't watch these award shows. There's no way in hell that these shows have been around for 100 years and we're just now having first. Like, this bullshit. And I don't want to flock to it. It's just not my thing. But shout out to the winners, though. Shout out. Like, that's great. It's a great moment. And I hope that it brings you hella money and hella opportunities. But I do think we need to stop shading our own programming. Like that's anti-blackness, to compare everything to white shows and white accolades. Like, come on now. Like, we got to stop this shit, but we probably won't anytime soon. But that's just my stance. I think that's it when it comes to entertainment. Random. So, Jacked, why am I a beta tester for the new release that's coming out later this year? I guess I was on there enough that they were like, hey nigga, you want to go ahead and try this new one out? You use the shit enough, go ahead. So I'm a beta tester. So a couple things that I wanted to kind of let you guys know about if you're a Jacked user. I know a lot of y'all pretend you're not, but y'all got private profiles and that's fine. But the interface is different. It's similar, but different. The colors are more vibrant. It's like white and orange. The squares are a lot bigger. It gives you kind of a Grindr vibe, but not like, it's not completely like Grindr, but the boxes are just really big squares, so you can kind of see these really big pictures. They now have read receipts, which I don't care for, because I ignore a lot of messages, and I don't need niggas knowing that I read their messages and didn't respond, because then I gotta block them. So it's a lot of work. What other things do I know? Now you can't see who views your profile with the basic subscription. You have to subscribe to their pro account to see who views your profile. What else was there? Outside of that, the interface runs pretty well. It's smooth. Along with iOS 11, which came out yesterday. I'm digging iOS 11. Like, it's smooth as fuck. The features are cool. I think my favorite feature right now is Apple Music. They've changed it so it's like Spotify, so you can share playlists within the app with other people on Apple Music. You can see what people are listening to. They can see what you're listening to. You can have friends and stuff on there. So I dig that. So I'm excited. Especially I have a 7, so I probably won't be getting an 8 just yet. I do want the X, and I'm on AT&T's Next program, so I get a new phone like every year and a half anyway. So in March for my birthday, I'll probably upgrade or see whatever happens. But I'm in no rush because my phone works fine the way it is, and with iOS 11, it feels like a new phone. So I'm totally here for it, and that's that. So let's see. That's it for all that's going on in pop culture. But let's talk a little bit about a post I posted on Facebook. All right, and this goes along with what I was talking about with Jacked. I posted this on September 7th. It was supposed to be last week's topic or last week's kind of discussion, but I didn't have a show last week, so here we are. I put this on Facebook, and I just want to see what people's responses are. It says, on the apps, meaning Jacked, Tinder, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you use, on the apps. If you're not interested, do you respond and tell them you're not interested, or do you just ignore the message altogether? Answer honestly. Now, before I get into some of these responses, I want to point out the reason I brought this up is because I'm always not confused, but I'm always torn on if I should respond to certain people. And that's because, especially like on shit like Tinder, not Tinder, because Tinder, you have to swipe right on both of them. So you get to choose who you even talk to because you guys both like each other. So that's different. But on other apps, people can just reach out to you whenever they want and just say what they want. And not to toot my own fucking horn, but to also toot my own fucking horn, I get a lot of fucking messages. I do. And a lot of times I'm not interested. And there are times where I will tell people like, hey, I'm not interested. But then I have to deal with, whatever bullshit comes after that, because a lot of people can't take rejection. And then there's some times where I'm just overwhelmed. I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to fucking respond to every person that I don't like, especially on some shit like Jack, because a lot of y'all niggas just want to fuck anyway. So why do I need to be respectful of every person that reaches out to me and be like, oh yeah, let me say I'm not interested? Like, it's a lot of fucking work. It's like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. But I was kind of torn because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do say, hey, I'm not interested, not looking for that right now. Or sometimes I ignore it completely. I'm kind of torn. But I was curious if anyone else struggled with this. So I posed a question on social media. And so these are some of the answers I got. And I found it to be interesting. Ultimately, in summary, what I've noticed is people respond based on their own perspectives. So a lot of these answers are projections. People are responding based on their own experiences, like what they've gone through. So if they get a lot of messages and they ignore people, they'll probably say ignore. If they get ignored a lot, they'll say no, you need to respond. And I just kind of noticed that it's a toss up. So we'll breeze through some of them. So some of them said, let's see, somebody said I do both, haha. Okay. Somebody said it depends on what they're interested in and how they relate that. I can dig that. So if you come at me respectfully, like, hey, how you doing? We're having a conversation. It's cool. It's not on some fuck shit. Yeah, I can totally respond. But as soon as it gets disrespectful, I'm out. Like, I had somebody send me a message a couple weeks ago that literally said, the first message, no hi, no hello. It said, let me nut in you. I ignored the message. 10 minutes later, it said, let me slide in just once. That was followed by a block, by the way. Like, you have people who will just hit you up and be like, that ass, or let me fuck. Somebody, first message said, oh, come cream on this dick. Like, I'm not responding to this shit. Like, for what? For what? But if it's like a, hey, hello, how you doing? Sure, that's fine. Sure. So yeah, I rock with that. It depends on what they're interested in and how they can relate that. Someone said, I'd rather you decline me. No one deserves to be ignored. Okay. That seems like one of those projection type things. Someone else said ignore. Someone said depending on their approach and what their profile says, as said earlier. I have a standard decline response that I use to copy and paste. That's smart too. The only thing about responding, because I have with some people, not all, but some people that I've responded to, so as I'm answering this, I'm realizing this is really a case by case situation. There's some people that I responded to that I'm not interested, but then you get you're not that cute anyway, and I tell you about you light skinned ninjas, fuck you a faggot, or you don't know a good thing when you see it, that's why your ass is probably single and on this app, you're gonna be on this app forever. Like, some people just can't take fucking rejection, so that's why some people choose to ignore. It's not to be an asshole, so there's that. Someone said they mostly ignore. Someone said it really depends on how far-fetched their dream is. Sometimes I'll ignore and sometimes I'll be like, did you read? Because usually if you read the profile, you would have eliminated yourself anyway before you wasted their time. Damn. Yeah, that was a projection too. Someone said normally ignore because people will normally give you an ugly anyway fag. Exactly. When you politely decline. Like, it's trash, man. Like, rejection, people cannot take rejection at times. Someone said, I allow my spirit to dictate my responses, but generally it depends on their initial situation or initial salutation. I'm sorry, I'm fucking up. If they're respectful and polite, then I'll respond equally. But if they're on some fuckboy-ish, then I ignore them. Okay, that seems like a general consensus. Someone said, I think everyone gets a reply. One reply. After that, I ignore. I'm nice. Someone said, I entertain a conversation, but make it known I'm not interested in what they're seeking. I flat out ignore sexual advances. Me too. I also ignore some people, but that's due to their approach or their profile is oozing what I don't entertain. That's a great point. That is a great fucking point. There are some times when people will reach out to you. Well, I always do this. You reach out to me, I'm checking that profile first. If it's negative as fuck, or if it's just doing too much, I'm not wasting my time responding to you, especially if it's already like super, super depressing or mean-spirited. There are a lot of mean-spirited people online. And if it's very much like just a bunch of criticism and shade of people that you don't know, like, it's annoying. So I get that. I appreciate that response. Someone else said, what will get you a response? What's up, man? Love the profile, etc. What will get you ignored? Unsolicited dick pics. Amen. You use crystal meth, aka party. Angry profiles, like I mentioned before. Someone saying, say, come fuck my dripping hot boy pussy raw. That's hilarious. Another response, I usually don't fuck with thick niggas, but you're hot. I'm bored, etc. Yeah, I would ignore all those too. Next response, I don't like to be ignored, so I won't ignore people. Okay, I get this whole treat people how you want to be treated. But I think we also need to understand that there's a time and place for everything. And it's more nuanced than that. It just is. Like, there's, oh my God. Like, I feel like I'm flexing my pretty boy privilege right now. And I'm sorry. And I don't mean to be like, wow, these niggas is so much for me. But once again, I get a lot of fucking messages. And I'm saying this in the most humble way. I get a lot of fucking messages, just facts. I'm not responding to every nigga that hits my inbox. I'm just not doing it. I'm just not doing it. It's not me being an asshole. I just don't have the bandwidth and the availability. Y'all heard me say I'm busy and now I gotta respond to every nigga that's interested? Nah, I'm not doing it. Next response. Unfortunately, the truth brings anger and spitefulness or a false opening to be the ultimate bugaboo. Silence means rudeness and elicits the same. You can't win. Agreed. You can't win. Next response. Be gracious and say you're not interested. If they get nasty with you, block them. Okay. Depends on how they approach me. If they approach me with respect, I reply. If they position me with foolishness, I use my block privileges quickly. All right. Someone said depends. Someone said ignore altogether. Someone said another person ignore. Somebody said both. Oh, never mind. They came back and said, actually, I just blocked them. Some people can accept rejection. Amen. Next one. I say I'm not interested, hoping that the same courtesy will be applied to me. Like, listen, once again, y'all killing me with this. Like, either people are going to do it or they're not. It just is what it is. I get ignored. I get responses. I get I'm not interested. Well, not really, but whatever. For the sake of conversation, I'm going to say I'm not interested. Ignoring is too passive. I'm more of a direct approach kind. See, okay. Ignoring is not passive. It's all about the situation. Like if it's one or two people, sure, I have no problem saying, hey, I'm not interested. But once again, I'm not fucking going through 100 emails saying I'm not interested. Fuck that. No, I'm not. And it's not me being passive. It's just me not wanting to fucking do it. But whatever. Okay, cool. Once again, this is all, even my response is a projection of what I'm going through. And you can tell that. Like, a lot of these responses are based off of how they experience it in their perspective. And that's why I thought it was important to talk about it. Some more responses. If it's general conversation, I'll respond. If it turns anything else and I'm not interested, I will say that politely. I clearly state I'm not interested. I respond at minimum. That's just rude and shows a lack of upbringing to not acknowledge someone. Okay, motherfucker, this isn't somebody coming into a room saying good morning and you ignoring them. This is not being at a function and, giving someone a cold shoulder. This is literally online activity. It's not always rude. Projection. Next. Let's see. Anything else? This is a good one. Sometimes I'll say something in the line of, thanks for hitting me up, but I don't think we're quite a match. Have a good one. Unless it's ridiculous, naked photo or something, which I'll just ignore them altogether. Exactly. So for the most part, most people say it's down the middle, really. Some people say respond, be respectful, and don't be rude, and don't be passive. And other people say that they ignore it altogether. I say it's case by case. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but do what the fuck you want to do. It just is what it is, because I'm going to keep doing what the fuck I'm going to do, which means it's going to be whatever I feel like doing. If I want to say I'm not interested, I will. If I do, I do. But I was just curious on what people thought. What say you? Do you respond? Listeners of the Outline Podcast, do you respond? Let me know on Twitter using the Outline Podcast hashtag. Let me know your thoughts. Like, are you responding to everyone that hits you up? Or are you just ignoring them because it's not that damn serious? Um, Let me know. Yeah, so that's that. I'm still figuring it out because, I'm on the apps, and now that I'm beta testing, I can't delete it now. I got to keep going and see what it's all about, but whatever. That's that. There was another thing that I saw that I kind of wanted to breeze through. Now, I want to let you guys know that none of this podcast is ever rehearsed. Like, I literally just do what the fuck I want to do and just edit it up. And so if it's not as fluid as it should be, I'm sorry, but I know that's also a part of the fun of it because it's like we're hanging out and we're having a phone conversation. So I hope, you don't mind that too much. But let's switch gears. So I don't know what made me think about this. I think I was reading something online with some fuck niggas talking about women and men and, the whole. Oh, no, I know what it was. I was watching a movie. An 80s movie, Just One of the Guys. It's the one where the female journalist, she is convinced that her article isn't picked up for this newspaper because she's a woman, so she dresses up as a man. But then you know how that goes. It ends up working out and, blah, 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 blah. But I was just cracking up at how backwards that movie was in the 80s, like there were so many problematic statements, but it was the 80s, what do you do? But there was this whole part about, how men and women are different sexually and their sex drives are different and blah, blah, blah. Now, in my talks with other women, I find that this has both truth and lies to it. Like, yes, sex drives are different, but I think we need to remove the idea that women just aren't as sexual as men, if that makes sense, because women are sexual. And so I decided to do a little bit of research on it. And so I found this article online. Well, it was on WebMD, and it was called Sex Drive: How Do Men and Women Compare? And I thought it was very interesting, but it says experts say men score higher in libido while women's sex drive is more fluid. So I just found it to be very, very interesting. So some of the things it said was, number one, men think more about sex. Now, I know people are like, duh, 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 duh. It says the majority of adult men under 60 think about sex at least once a day. Only about 1/4 of women say that they think about it that frequently. As men and women age, each fantasize less, but men still fantasize about twice as often. In a survey of studies comparing male and female sex drives, Mel Baumeister, a social psychologist at Florida State University, found that men reported more spontaneous sexual arousal and had more frequent and varied fantasies. Okay. Number two, men seek sex more avidly. Men want more sex more often than women at the start of a relationship, in the middle of it, and many years after it. Baumeister concludes, after reviewing sexual surveys of men and women, this isn't just true of heterosexual. He says gay men also have more sex more often than lesbians at all stages of the relationship. Men also say they want more sex partners in their lifetime and are most interested in casual sex. It says men are more likely to seek sex even when it's frowned upon or even outlawed. And also another point I thought was funny here, because I want to read all of it. You guys can check the article out. I'll put it in the info box. But another point that they put here said, nuns do a better job of fulfilling their vows of chastity than priests. Baumeister cites a survey of several hundred clergy in which 62% of priests admitted to sexual activity compared to 49% of nuns. The men reported more partners on average than the women. Like, I mean, once again, I know it's like a duh. I think ultimately I wanted more facts. I wanted research, because I just get tired of the whole idea that women just aren't out here being sexual. But in reality, they are. Now, I do rock with the idea that sex drives are different. I can rock with that. Okay, men's sex drives are more amped up. But women are sexual, and women do have high sex drives. It's just not that of men, but they are sexual. And I think that's what I was looking for. But this came across my screen. I thought it was pretty cool. But let's continue. Women's sexual turn-ons are more complicated than men's. What turns women on? Not even women even know. That's funny. Okay, so Northwestern University researcher Meredith Shivers and colleagues showed I am chopping all my words right now. Let's try that again. Northwestern University researcher Meredith Shivers and colleagues showed erotic films, porn, to gay and straight men and women. They asked them about their level of sexual arousal and also measured their actual level of arousal through devices attached to their genitals. For men, the results were predictable. Straight men said they were more turned on by depictions of male-female sex and female-female sex, and the measuring devices backed up their claims. Gay men said they were turned on by male-male sex, and again, the devices backed them up. For women, the results were more surprising. Straight women, for example, said they were more turned on by male-female sex, but genitally, they showed about the same reaction to male-female sex, male-male, and female-female sex. Men are very rigid and specific about who they become aroused by, who they want to have sex with, who they fall in love with, says Michael Bailey. He was a sex researcher and co-author with Shivers on the study. By contrast, women may be more open to same-sex relationships, thanks to their less directed sex drives. Bailey says women probably have the capacity to become sexually interested in and fall in love with their own sex more than men do. Bailey also says they won't necessarily do it, but they have the capacity. That's very interesting, but that makes sense. I mean, also, this is my opinion, men were also raised to be super rigid, you know, like, I ain't with that gay shit, I ain't with this, I ain't with that. Like, there's niggas out there who didn't even wash their ass good because they feel like that's gay. Like, get out of here. Like, that's why, like, men are raised to be rigid, and I think that's more society based than just nature. But whatever. Next point. Women's sex drives are more influenced by social and cultural factors. In his review, Baumeister found studies showing many ways in which women's sexual attitudes, practices, and desires were more influenced by their environment than men. Which is funny because what I just said is like, this is actually the opposite. Whatever. All right. Women's attitudes towards and willingness to perform various sexual practices are more likely than men's to change over time. Women who regularly attend church are less likely to have permissive attitudes about sex. Men do not show this connection between church attendance and sex attitudes. Thank God. Women are more influenced by the attitudes of their peer group in their decisions about sex. Women with higher education levels were more likely to have performed a wider variety of sexual practices, such as oral sex. Education made less of a difference with men. Women were more likely than men to show inconsistency between their expressed values about sexual activities, such as premarital sex, and their actual behavior. Sounds about right. But, you know, to my women listeners, and I know you guys are going to give me all your comments, but let me know what you think. I mean, I'm not a woman. I don't know. Hell, I'm not even a straight man, but I am a gay man. So I'd like to know you guys' point of view on anything that I'm talking about in this article, because I found it to be very, very interesting. So next point. Women take a less direct route to sexual satisfaction. Men and women travel slightly different paths to arrive to sexual desire. I hear women say in my office that desire originates much more between the ears than between the legs. I've heard that before too. For women, there is a need for a plot, hence the romance novel. It is more about the anticipation, how you get there. It is a longing that is a fuel for desire. So I've heard that too. Like, you know, it's a mental thing, it's an emotional thing. But I also know that it's like that for me as a gay man. And so I'm wondering, is that just being feminine, or is that a learned behavior? Because I do know that girls are raised to believe that, you know, to be emotional and to be like, they're more supported in that, while men are taught to be more barbaric and hit whatever you can hit, you know what I mean? So is that biological, or is that also kind of pushed by society or culture? I don't know. I'm always curious about that because me, like, while I have no problem hooking up with people, I can't just hook up with people. Like, I'm not a person who can just like have somebody walk in and we just fuck. Like, there's usually some kind of like, can I at least know a little bit about you? You know, it could be 5 minutes. That's fine. And then we can fuck after that 5 minutes, but it can't just be oh yeah, let's just walk in and do that. It's a little more complicated. So, and I'm not a woman. So I'm just curious. Is it something that, I don't know. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts. Moving on. Women experience orgasms differently than men. I can probably be sure of that. Yeah, I think so too. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Sorry for the background. The little ads on the website plays music, so I apologize for that. But I'm not editing it out, so whatever. Women's libido seem less responsible. Sorry. I'm chopping up everything. I am. Let me slow down. Woosah. Get it together. It's all right. You got this, Kevin. All right. Women's libido seem to be less responsive to drugs. With men's sex drive seemingly more directly tied to biology when compared to women, it may be no surprise that low desire may be more easily treated through medication in men. Men have embraced drugs as a cure not only for erectile dysfunction, but also for a shrinking libido. With women, though, the search for a drug to boost sex drive has proved more elusive. That's very interesting. Which goes back into what we're saying either. Maybe it is all mental, you know? Maybe, you know, if a drug can affect it, then it is what it is. Oh, yay. It's so great to be complicated, but, you know. It says testosterone has been linked to sex drive in both men and women, but testosterone works much faster in men with low libidos than women. That makes sense. Let's see. Are there any other points here? I think that was it. But I found the article to be very interesting. I will post the actual thing in the info box of this podcast so you can check it out yourself because there's a lot of things that I didn't cover in it. But I just found it to be pretty like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Maybe, you know, there's some truth to the idea that men are, you know, are a little more sexually inclined than women. I just don't want, I'm tired of the narrative that women aren't sexual, but at the same time, you know, I think we know that it's just a matter of just kind of removing the misogyny. But according to this research, I mean, we do think about sex a lot more and we perform it a lot more. We don't give a fuck about outside influence apparently either once we're in it. But growing up, we do because we learned a lot of fucked up shit from other men. And so that outside influence does matter. But yeah, that's that. That's all I wanted to share. But that's the show today. It feels good to talk to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Please subscribe. Please check out the website. Please share this. And yeah, have a great week. And I will talk to you all next Wednesday. Peace out.